When I drop my daughter off every day, I drill her. Every day at school, when I take her to school, you know, we have a little combo we had before she got the car, and she gets sick of running the script to me, but I pound it in her head. Like, you know, what is integrity? You know, integrity doing the right thing when nobody's looking, all right? You know, are you a leader or a follower? I'm a leader, what's the difference? Think for myself, all right? Do you have confidence? Yes, what's confidence? Believe in myself. That's our script every morning. And it seemed basic, but I want her to get older and look back on the things that I thought was important. You know what I mean? Like my dad always put into me integrity, confidence, and being a leader. And regardless if she can really embrace those ideas right now, when she get older and do an evaluation of what the message that I wanted her to receive direct.
She ain't gonna forget that.
She's not gonna forget that that's what my dad thought was really important.
7 years. That's how long it took. 7 years of courtrooms, custody battles, probate proceedings, and family conflict. 7 years of a little girl growing up with a legal case attached to her name. And in July 2026, a Los Angeles Superior Court judge officially closed Nipsey Hussle's estate, and his daughter Imani Asghedom, now 17 years old, officially inherited her share of everything her father built. This is the story of how that finally happened, what she actually received, and why the way it ended matters as much as the outcome itself. Imani was born from Nipsey's earlier relationship with Tanisha Foster, before his high-profile relationship with Lauren London, and before he became the global figure that millions mourned in 2019. She grew up knowing her father as Ermias, the man behind the legend. She knew the version of him that existed before the sold-out shows and the Grammy nominations, the version that was still grinding and still building. Nipsey spoke openly about her. He talked in interviews about wanting to create generational wealth specifically for his children, not just for himself. He was obsessed with ownership. His whole philosophy was built around the idea that real wealth is not what you spend, it is what you leave behind for the people you love. He was modeling that philosophy in real time, and Imani was one of the primary reasons it mattered. Then came March 31st, 2019. Nipsey was shot and killed outside the Marathon clothing store on Slauson Avenue in Los Angeles. He was 33 years old. The city mourned. Murals went up. The community that had watched him grow from a Crenshaw kid into a cultural force was devastated. And what he left behind was both extraordinary and legally complicated. Here is the detail that changed everything for Imani and everyone connected to the estate. Nipsey died without a fully executed living trust. That single unfinished document sent everything into probate. For people who do not know how this works, when someone passes without a completed trust or clear legal documents transferring their assets directly, their estate enters a court-supervised process where a judge oversees how property is inventoried, debts are paid, and assets are distributed. For a celebrity with a business empire, intellectual property, real estate, and grieving family members on multiple sides, probate becomes a long, slow, painful process. Every dispute extends the timeline. Every legal motion pushes the finish line further away. Legal fees and court costs come out of the estate before the heirs see a dollar. Nipsey had started the trust process, but had not finished it. That is what sent this into a 7-year battle. The estate was initially valued at approximately $11.3 million, a number that, as we will get to, almost certainly understates what was actually there. But the moment that valuation entered probate, everything Nipsey had built became subject to court oversight. And then, almost simultaneously, a separate custody dispute erupted over Imani herself. Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, legal name Samson Asghedom, stepped up immediately after his brother's murder. Black Sam had been Nipsey's closest business partner, his day-one collaborator in building the Marathon brand from the ground up. He knew the estate better than almost anyone. He knew what Nipsey had built and what it required to keep running. When he petitioned the court for guardianship of Imani, he was acting out of love and out of a genuine belief that he could provide her with the stability and environment her father would have wanted. But Tanisha Foster, Imani's biological mother, was not going to surrender her child without a fight, and that is her right as a mother. Whatever the circumstances of her and Nipsey's relationship, whatever tension may have existed between her and the Asghedom family, Imani was her daughter. So what followed was a legal battle between Imani's paternal family and her biological mother that played out in courtrooms, spilled across social media, and generated years of deeply inaccurate public coverage. This is also where the misrepresentation of Lauren London's role needs to be addressed clearly. When people refer to a stepmother in this story, they are largely framing Lauren London through the lens of Nipsey's household and legacy. That framing is emotionally understandable, but legally inaccurate. Lauren was never Imani's stepmother in any legal or traditional sense. Lauren and Nipsey have a son together, Cross Asghedom, Nipsey's younger child, and Lauren's legal involvement in the estate centered entirely on protecting Cross's interests, ensuring that her son received his rightful share. Lauren and Imani's situations were separate legal tracks running through the same courthouse. The real tension was between Tanisha Foster and the Asghedom family, and headlines that kept inserting Lauren's name into Imani's custody battle were manufacturing a conflict that was not in the actual court record. Meanwhile, Black Sam kept the marathon running. He oversaw Marathon Clothing. He worked to protect Nipsey's music catalog and the intellectual property surrounding the Nipsey Hussle brand. He navigated licensing deals, preserved business relationships, and made sure the commercial machinery Nipsey had built did not fall apart while the courts sorted out what came next. For 7 years, he was on the front lines making sure that what his brother built did not collapse under the weight of legal chaos. That work deserves to be recognized. And over time, something unexpected happened. The legal battle that had begun as an all-out war slowly evolved. Both sides had been fighting. Both sides had losses. But at the center of all of it was a child who needed stability more than she needed courtroom victories. By early 2025, after years of litigation, Black Sam and Tanisha Foster reached a custody settlement. Then came the moment that no one who had followed this story could have predicted a few years earlier. Black Sam and Tanisha Foster appeared together publicly to celebrate Imani's high school graduation. Together, not in front of a judge, not through attorneys, at a graduation, smiling for a young woman who had spent her entire adolescence at the center of a legal storm and had come out the other side ready to step into adulthood. Whatever had divided them for years had given way to something more important. The war was over, and what replaced it was a unified commitment to Imani's future. In July 2026, a Los Angeles Superior Court judge officially approved the closure of Nipsey's estate. The ruling divided everything equally between his two children. Imani and Cross each received 50% of their father's estate. The exact dollar amount paid to each child was sealed by the court, so while the estate was estimated at $11 million, the precise figures distributed were kept out of the public record. What the court confirmed is that both children received their equal share and that the distribution was completed. But the cash is only part of what they inherited. According to the estate filings, what Imani and Cross also received includes an ownership interest in the Marathon Clothing Company and various trademarks. That brand is not just a clothing store. Nipsey built it from a pop-up into a cultural monument. People do not just go there to buy merchandise. They go there on a pilgrimage. The brand equity attached to Marathon Clothing is worth significantly more than any court document can capture, and it continues growing every year because the story behind it keeps resonating. The trademarks, covering merchandise, licensing, brand partnerships, and any commercial use of Nipsey's name and likeness, generate revenue every time his image appears on a product or a company wants to associate itself with his brand. Those trademarks now belong to his children. And then there is the music catalog. Nipsey independently owned his masters, and he understood earlier than most of his contemporaries that owning your catalog is where real long-term wealth lives. Victory Lap, his Grammy-winning debut, plus years of mixtapes, collaborative projects, and features that stream consistently every month across every platform. Every stream generates royalties. Every sync license for a film, commercial, or television show generates licensing revenue. Every anniversary of his passing, every tribute, every viral moment that sends fans back to his music flows back to the estate and by extension to his children. This is why many analysts believe the $11.3 million probate valuation significantly understates the true long-term value of what Nipsey built. Probate courts value assets based on what they are worth at a specific moment using established legal frameworks. The real value of a music catalog, a brand, and a cultural legacy unfolds over decades. Imani and Cross are now positioned to benefit from every year of that unfolding. Lauren London signed paperwork, acknowledging receipt of the distribution for Cross's share. She protected her son's financial future through proper legal channels and stayed completely out of the custody dispute over Imani. She raised her son in a way that reflects the values Nipsey embodied, and she did it for 7 years under enormous grief and relentless public scrutiny. That consistency deserves to be acknowledged. Imani is 17. She just graduated high school. She is entering adulthood with a financial foundation most people her age cannot imagine, and she is doing it with both sides of her family now standing behind her. What she does next is entirely up to her, whether she steps into a public role connected to her father's legacy or builds something entirely her own. She now has the resources and the freedom to choose. That choice, after 7 years of uncertainty, might be the greatest thing Nipsey gave her. He built something real enough to survive his absence. His estate generated value through years of legal chaos. The structures he put in place, as incomplete as they were at the time of his death, still produced an outcome that provided for both of his children equally. The marathon continues, and his children are finally running it. What do you think about how this estate case concluded, and what it means for Imani's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more stories told the right way.